My name's Cameron Horst. I'm a professional rock climber. I'm based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm 22 years old. Yeah, so my family is originally from Pennsylvania. I grew up in a climbing family. My mom and dad both have been climbing for over 30 years. My dad is well known for his first ascents in the New River Gorge, as well as his expertise as a climbing coach. He's written a handful of climbing training books, such as Training for Climbing and Maximum Climbing. And more recently, he's the owner of a climbing supplement company called PhysiVantage. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. My two favorite climbing shoes are the Solution and then the Solution Comp. And these climbing shoes are pretty similar climbing shoes. They're both high performance. The Solutions are more stiff, and they're the OG, like, La Sportiva badass climbing shoe. And then more recently, about 3 years ago, La Sportiva came out with the Solution Comp. And the main difference between these shoes is the heel. Like, this is a little bit more subtle and kind of tight fitting than the original Solution heel, so it could be used for good, like, indoor gym climbing, like heel hooks on little crimps, or even outdoor boulders, heel hooks on little crimps. And then another main difference is the softness. The Solution Comps are significantly softer than the Solutions. Generally, for indoor climbing, I would say you'd want a softer shoe, just because you're not smearing on vertical crimps as much, you're not really climbing for long periods of time, and you generally want a softer shoe to kind of hug the holds of the gym. And then the Solutions, more stiff, and it'd be good for a larger domain of climbing. Like, you could do 513, 514 techie vert climbing in these shoes, and you could do 513, 514, 515 cave climbing, or even indoor climbing in these. The harness I use is the DMM Trance harness, and the ropes I use are Maxim ropes. I usually use the Airliner because that's their narrow 9.1 millimeter performance rope, and I use the Airliner and the Trance harness on a daily basis. The Friction Lab chalk, they have 3 different levels of chunkiness. They have the Unicorn Dust, which is very fine. They have the Gorilla, which is like moderately chunky, and then they have this stuff, which is my favorite, which is the super chunky Bam Bam chalk. I personally like the super chunky chalk because it lends for doing tick marks pretty well, and it's really easy to crush up in your hand. My brother and I started climbing when we were really young. Our parents had us at the crag, but the one thing that kind of separated my brother and I from like the rest of like the young kid climbers of like my generation was that we also did mainstream high school sports and elementary school sports. So my brother and I, we both played football from the age of 9, or American football from the age of 9 until we graduated high school. And that kind of dominated more than half of like the year. The summertime we would climb, and for the fall and during the school year we'd play football. And personally, I think that was a great balance to have as an adolescent, and it gave me and my brother a cool perspective on climbing and performance that I think is long lasting. Back in 2019, my dad launched PhysiVantage, which this was the first product, the Supercharged Collagen. And kind of the goal of PhysiVantage, or like the reason why PhysiVantage exists today, is because my dad, as a leading coach and climbing researcher, he founded PhysiVantage for this product, which is the Supercharged Collagen, which is vitamin C enriched collagen, and the point of this to take it for connective tissue and muscle recovery. Recent research has showed that like this stuff, when taken before exercise, really helps the health of your connective tissues and post-workout recovery. Although that the Supercharged Collagen was a flagship product, since PhysiVantage has come out with an array of other products, one of the other products that I live by is the Sendurex, and this is a pre-workout mix. I generally mixed these two together. They go together really well, and they're both pre-workout. But This helps loosen up your capillaries and increase blood flow to your muscles, and therefore have more stamina/endurance for that exercise you do, and most likely increased recovery between bouts of exercise. Okay, so what was probably the second PhysiVantage product is the Crush. And the Crush is basically a caffeine supplement. It's caffeine pills, and if you take 2, it's equivalent to a little bit more than a cup of coffee. But the reason to take this over coffee before performance, or the theory behind it, is it has taurine in it, which kind of counteracts the jitterness of caffeine. And I know quite a few athletes that could benefit from taking caffeine because there is proven science to show that it helps with max strength and max power output. However, they can't get over the jitters, and that would hinder a very intricate sport like climbing. So the taurine mixed with the caffeine helps kind of dial back that jitters, but you also get the enhancing effects of caffeine. I think one of the main reasons why supplements haven't been as popular in climbing as other sports is just because there hasn't been really any climbing specific supplement brands marketed towards climbers that are especially research based. And PhysiVantage was the first one, and now that we're getting the word out and it's getting across the world, I think that a lot of climbers are embracing it, they're finding their benefits in it, and really being able to utilize the effects of climbing specific supplementation.